Let's get started in here.
And the bass keep running. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our, I don't even know how to describe this yet, our little podcast.
Welcome back, guys. We're excited to have you. We said that we were going to do this, and people are pretty excited about this. We're going to do our Star Wars rankings.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Okay, so anyways, we are going to be talking about all things Star Wars today, and I feel like I have to give a disclaimer with this because this can, as we were talking about before, bring up a lot of controversy. This is a very, can be at times, toxic fandom, lots of opinions, lots of strong beliefs, lots of entitled fans, which we might fall into that category at certain points in time. So I just want to preface with saying, people, I've gotten this before. I'm sure Isa has gotten this before. Oh my God, you're a girl, blah, 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 blah.
Shut up.
Shut your face. We have been here since the beginning, okay? We have been here since out the womb. I don't know. I can't even remember my first memory with Star Wars. Well,
yeah. It matches my background. Period.
Anyways, I was gonna say I can't even remember my first memory with Star Wars because it's literally been since I was out of the womb. Those younger memories you have when you're like, you kind of remember them, but like you were literally like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Those
and they
are
feel
my
like a
first
fever
memories.
dream.
Yes, those are my first memories of Star Wars. I'm sure Issa can say the
Same.
same thing. So, moral of the story, we've done the work. We've been here since out the womb. If anyone can be a fan, it's us too. And with that also comes that with this ranking, number 1, give your opinion, but you don't have to be mean about it. Number 2, these are our opinions. This is what we grew up with. This is not based off of, well, actually, this movie grossed blah 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 in the box office, or well, actually, according to Rotten
Scientifically
Tomatoes.
speaking.
No, this is about our personal opinions. It might get controversial, especially on my end, but this is just how I feel.
Same.
And if
I
you
think
don't,
I picked some controversial ones.
and this is something we really love, we really care about, and we're excited to share our reasoning why we've ranked them as these with you all. Because yeah, and I'll even put some pictures in of us from the beginning. Isabella and I have been going to Star Wars conventions since we were like 7 or 8. We've been going to Star Wars weekends. We've seen all the movies a million bajillion times. We love all things Star Wars. We love the games, as you can see in her background today. We love Galaxy's Edge at Disney. We love going to Celebration. We love the Disney Plus shows. We love everything like that. But specifically for this episode, we are going to be focusing on the movie franchises only, and also only those within the trilogies, the 3 trilogies. That is all we're focusing on. So if you thought Rogue One was going to be in this, Solo, the Star Wars Holiday Special, the Ewok movies, I am so sorry. Those are not going to be included in this today. So we're only doing episode 1 through, I don't know, I can't count, 9 today. Maybe we can do a separate list including shows and Clone Wars and everything like that. Maybe we will do that later on, but for now, we're sticking to the movies. We are so excited to get into this list today for you. I think Isabella and I are going to have very different lists at times, but then it'll all kind of make sense together. And I think it's going to be controversial, but hear me out. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to agree with us. That's okay. That's all right.
Controversial yet brave.
Isabella, let's get into the list. Let's get started. We're going to be counting down from 5 being, I mean, these are our top 5 favorites, but 5 being our least favorite out of the 5 we rank, all the way to number 1. So, Isabella, let's get started with you, babes.
Counting down. Welcome back to Watch Mojo. Counting down the top 5. Okay. So number 5, I put one that is from the most recent trilogy, and it's the most recent movie that came out, and it is Rise of Skywalker. Oh,
That is something so controversial yet brave to say. I can see people already in the comments us starting off with that one. But
yeah.
I'm interested to hear. I'm not going to be one of those haters.
I thought, well, because we were doing top 5, and like to prepare for like my top 5 this time instead of last time, I looked through like all of the movies and I was deciding which ones like I really like enjoyed watching and like had good epic moments where people were like. And so I thought that one felt like, I know this is gonna sound so bad, but I felt like it kept the audience entertained throughout a lot of the movie, which I know is very controversial. But I also really liked the end of it. Not the very, very end, but like the end with like Kylo Ren and Rey. I really liked that. So that's why I put it as my number 5.
Very interesting number 5 choice. This is going to come up a lot. This is a very, we're going to say the word controversial throughout this whole thing, is the
Yeah.
new trilogy. A lot of people hate it, and I will talk about it later, spoiler alert. But I think that the new trilogy is overhated a lot. And something I'm going to say now, and I will touch on later, is if you understand our age and where we're at, yes, we have grown up with Star Wars, but the new trilogy was our first time seeing these movies in a theater for the first time ever. We watched the rest at home and we had an experience with it at home. We had never really had the experience of a new Star Wars movie in the theaters until the new trilogy. So bear that in mind with a lot of our experiences and what we're saying. One thing I will say with The Rise of Skywalker that I know a lot of people are going to say is somehow Palpatine returned is the dumbest dialogue
Yeah,
ever.
I agree with that. And that's why out of all of them, I still put it as my number 5, just because it wasn't like the best movie ever, but at the same time, like watching it in the theater was like something that I'll never forget. And it was like truly like really fun because like Gabby said, we didn't get to see all the originals in the theater. So this one to me was one that like when I at least watched it in the movie theater, everybody was like, oh my God. And it was like new reactions. And it was something that just something I'll never forget. So I put it as my number.
Great. Great answer. 1000% agree. And I know everyone's like, the fan service at the end was so cheesy and like they gave Chewie the medal. That's so cheesy and just all of that. I get that perspective. But again, going back to what we, both of us, grew up with and grew up with getting new movies for, this was our ending to that story. And it made me emotional too. And the reason I'm talking about this one more is because, spoiler alert, it's not on my top 5 list, but I think it would have come in at number 6 for me.
It's
Awesome.
definitely one of the ones that's up there.
Well, my number 5 is being controversial yet brave again. Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that is my
Period. I
number
would have
5.
figured you put that higher, but I mean,
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. And the prequels are also just such a debated thing. I think more people are coming around for it now, but I think, yes, it's such a long movie, and that is my biggest gripe with it. And that is why it's not higher up because I feel like the beginning and the end are all I care about. What happens in between just drags for so long. The ending is really what puts this on my list for me, is that, like, the ending's so cool. Obviously, that iconic moment, me watching this for the first time when I was like 8 years old, putting the pieces together that Anakin was Luke Skywalker. You know, you're little at the time. That doesn't like comprehend until it's
compute.
like right there in front of you and you are like, oh my God. So that was like a moment I had with this movie. I don't know. I love the end. I love Padme. The ending's the best part. And I think that's why it deserves to be on this top 5 list. And there's so many iconic lines, and the whole beginning I feel like I could recite at this point. So, and the whole end I feel like I could recite at this point. So,
Yeah, no, I really like that movie. I actually put it a little bit higher on my list. So obviously I'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, so I think it definitely deserves, at least for you, like the placement you put it at.
well, should we get into your number 4?
My number 4, yet another, I put Force Awakens because
Oh,
I thought out of the trilogy for like the most recent one, like Gabby was saying, this was the first Star Wars movie that we had ever seen in the theaters. Like it came out in what, 2015 or something. I loved it so much and I still love it to this day. Like I'll rewatch that movie all the time. And I know in the beginning I got a little bit too much hype and people still to this day don't really like it. It was my first Star Wars movie that I saw in the theaters for the first time and it'll always hold a special place in my heart. This was a really good movie, like to follow the prequels. Like I thought it was able to keep up with everything. So
Controversial yet brave should be the title of this episode and all the
yeah.
opinions we're giving. It's so hard, and like even looking at my list now, I'm debating on switching up,
Yeah, I was gonna
but
debate switching my last one that we just talked about to another one, but
I think
it already
all of
happened.
these are in my top 5, but their order can get very wishy-washy, so
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt as I get into my number 4, which is A New Hope.
That was the one that I was thinking about because I didn't actually put it on my list. Yeah, I know. So I was like, I feel like I should have changed it, but whatever, it's already happened. So
We've already done it. It's nice to have some variety. I know people would probably put it a little higher. It had to be on there for me. It's the start of everything. I feel like that is probably the one I've seen the most. So lots of just nostalgia. It's so iconic. It's A New Hope. Like that Tatooine scene with the binary sunset, that is forever ingrained in my mind forever. If you want to bring tears to my eyes at any given point in time, start playing that and I will envision that scene, and I'm like getting teary eyed now thinking about it. You can probably guess how the rest of my list goes as I say this statement. I think it is the weakest of the original trilogy. So that is why it is number 4. So spoiler alert, some other ones are going to be higher on the list. But yeah, it still withstands time. It's a great movie. I mean, if you don't like New Hope, like, are they goofy and weird? And like, especially New Hope, does like some of it just
well,
not make any
yeah.
sense? Of course.
But like going into it, that's something that you explain. Like if you think about it, this is the first movie that ever came out in 1977. Like, of course it looks goofy. It was the first like space movie that ever came out. So duh, of course it looks goofy. And not a lot of people believed in it.
It's a movie about space, okay? About
Yeah.
people having wars in space. It's
In
not
the
that deep.
stars.
In the stars. Some may say they're having Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, anyways, A New Hope, yes, is it goofy? Duh. Is it iconic? Yes. Does it make me cry every single time? Yes. Do I cry at the ceremony on Yavin every time? Duh. So it's number 4 for me. So, Isabella, why don't you get into your number 3, your third place, your bronze medal?
My bronze medal goes to Revenge of the Sith. Crazy, it's the third one and it's third on my list. I put it as my third one because I was thinking about like I have to put one of the prequels on my list because I do like the prequels a lot, and I was like, which prequel do I like the best? And I was like, Revenge of the Sith. And when I rewatched Revenge of the Sith, like literally like 2 days ago, I was like, I loved it so much because I'm somebody who's a fan of Padme and Anakin's relationship. That I know you said you only like the beginning and the end. I of that movie like the entire movie. And I especially love the end, but I love like it all the way through because I like how you can just see Anakin sort of spiral down. And it's also a movie that's a lot of people's favorites, like number ones, but it's definitely probably my third on the list.
Yeah, and I think that is to that point Hayden's best performance. I know some people could not stand him in Attack of the Clones, and that's okay, but I do think like people didn't give him a chance with the third one, but he did so well. Like, yes, a
Yeah,
lot of the dialogue's cringy, but he did a really good job.
yeah, I really liked him in Revenge of the Sith, and I was originally gonna put like Attack the Clone somewhere on the list. I can't stand Anakin being a whiny little baby, like teenager the whole time, which is what he's supposed to be. It's his character. I just couldn't. I was like, I can't. The only thing I like from it is the song. But yeah, it's definitely number 3 because I just love it the whole way through. Like, come on, Obi-Wan halfway through, hello there. That's so iconic.
So, I guess I'll do my number 3, and this one is so hard. I just want to preface this is a very difficult one. Like, it's teetering some lines. Empire Strikes Back,
Ooh.
which I feel like is a lot of people's number 1. So I feel like me ranking it number 3 is controversial yet brave. It's
Mhm.
not my number 1. Oh my God. I still like, as we get into these, my top 3, personally, nothing's wrong with them. I wouldn't change a thing about any of them. I think they're all perfect movies, and that's that on that. So it's not like I have any gripes with Empire Strikes Back. I think it's a perfect movie. I don't think it should be changed at all. I love it from beginning to end. That was one of the ones I more recently like saw a reshowing of in theaters and was just like, God damn, this movie just will forever withstand time. Like it's so good. So yes, I think it's great from beginning to end. Luke training with Yoda. Are you kidding? That is just I
His
just
muscles in that scene is, oh, that's where Gabby found her first love. Fun fact.
Yeah, so fun fact, my first crush was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yeah, whole movie great from start to end. Literally, I can't say a bad thing about that movie. So,
Same, which is why I put it as my number two. Yeah. The whole like movie, them falling in love, that also introduces us to Boba Fett for the first time. It also introduces Lando for the first time
love
and like
that
Clouds,
guy.
love him, Cloud City. I rewatched it recently too. I did like a whole Star Wars thing with my friend the other day, and it was so good. I was like, I love this movie so much. Like it's a little weird in the beginning when like Leia kisses Luke and they just like don't know, but like you said, the whole training scene on Dagobah with Yoda and like I'm somebody that really likes the Muppets and like Labyrinth, so I like puppets, and so Yoda as a little puppet was kind of iconic. But yeah, that's why I put it as my number two because it's such a good movie. You find out that Darth Vader is Luke's father in that movie, so
Wait, what?
plot twist. Who would have known?
No one told me.
So it's a very good movie, and I do understand why it's a lot of people's number one, but I put it as my number two because I was like, this movie is iconic.
I feel like something a lot of people forget, and like I even clumped together in my head is Boba Fett, Yoda, Lando. Oh yeah, original trilogy. I'm like, wait, they were not in it until the second one. Like those were not established
Yeah,
characters till the second one. I feel like we all kind of just group them together, but it's like no, actually, they were introduced in the second
just all
movies.
in the same movie, which is why I put it as my number two because I was like, my favorite characters were introduced in this movie. Like,
Hmm.
I was like, there's no way I can like put it as number three or way further down the list. It needs to be like as number two.
And what a cliffhanger too, by the way. Such a
Yeah.
cliffhanger at the end. That's all
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say about that. And I guess we can get into my number two being controversial yet brave, guys. My number two is The Force Awakens.
Oh no, I have nothing against it, but I can just see people getting mad now. Like I see everybody getting mad.
And like I said it before, all of these movies, I think there is nothing wrong with them. I'll get into it for like my personal reasons for liking it. Number one, my first time seeing a brand new Star Wars movie in theaters. So special. I was at the prime age. Like, when did it come out again? I think it was
I think it was
2014
yeah,
or
like
13.
13. I said 15 earlier,
2015.
but I was right. I'm so good with dates, I swear.
So I was at like the prime age. That was my first time seeing it in theaters, experiencing a new Star Wars movie in theaters for the first time in my whole life. I'd gone 15 years of my life without seeing one for the first time in theaters, and it was just such a cool experience for me, and also such a cool experience for me because I grew up on Star Wars and stuff like that. And yes, I loved Leia, and yes, I know that she has trained as a Jedi, but I had not seen that in a movie. Okay? I had not seen that in a movie yet, but I always grew up telling my dad and things like that. Yes, I loved Leia. Yes, I love Padme, but I wanted to be a Jedi. I was just so obsessed with like being a Jedi, and I was like, oh, why can't girls be Jedi? So I know everyone has their gripes about Rey and they don't like her and they think she's a dumb character or whatever. But to me, like that meant so much. And like that scene of her finally like getting Luke's saber in her hand, like the 8-year-old me was like freaking out. Like it makes me cry. Like it meant so much to me finally seeing a girl having the role in this universe that I always wanted to have growing up. So that just meant a lot to me too. And Ray's theme, just that opening scene of her like in the sand and like that theme in my head was like the beginning of the movie. I'm so excited. Also, like I love John Boyega, I love Oscar Isaac. Like I think they're all just powerhouse cast in that movie for sure.
Yeah. I completely agree. That I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's the first time that people can say whatever they want, but I will disagree. It was the first time they gave us like a female empowerment role in.
I'm just gonna say I feel like guys, it doesn't hit as home as much for them. The Force Awakens does it. but representation matters so much. Rey means so much to me as a character. I'm not going to discredit Leia or Padme. Like Leia was, I had action figures of her growing up. I love her so much. I think she's iconic, but I wanted to hold a lightsaber. So Rey means a lot to me. Rey means a lot to a lot of little girls everywhere. And I think Daisy Ridley she means a lot to a lot of people everywhere. Something I wanted to add is that I didn't want to discredit Padme or Leia. Yes, they are awesome. Yes, they're kicking ass the whole movie and being just badass the whole time. But those movies are not about them. They are not the center of the story. They're helping a man move along throughout their story and their problems or whatever. And so that's why Rey just meant a lot to us too, is because it was about her and her journey and her path. And that was all that we wanted to see. And since Isabella showed something fun, I will show my fun thing.
Period.
But yeah, we're always gonna love The Force Awakens because just it means a lot to us. But anyways, we're gonna get into our number one. I know our number one is the same. So Isabella, tell the audience what our number one is.
Our number one is Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. That is gonna be our number one favorite Star Wars movie forever. I don't think that's ever gonna change. Isabella, why is it your number one?
It's my number one because it's the one Star Wars movie that the entire time is just like good. And like there's not a dull moment in Return of the Jedi, in my opinion. Like in Empire Strikes Back, there's some dull moment here and there. Not even, but not like not a lot as much as like the other movies I said. But Return of the Jedi is just so good, and that beginning scene is my favorite. Like I love everything about like the first, like I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes of the movie. It's amazing. Like from the moment Leia wakes up Han from the carbonite to the battle scene where Han is just blinded. It's iconic. He like can't see the whole time and he's fighting. That's everything to me. Like the Sarlacc pit, like yes. It's also you see Lando be more of a hero in this one. You also get to see Luke be more of a better Jedi because he completes his training in this one. So it's just a really good movie, especially when our favorite when we get to the Ewoks. We love the Ewoks. Like it's everything.
I love those Ewok guys so much. But I know everyone's like, is that the only reason why I like Return of the Jedi? No.
No.
As Isabella mentioned, I love the beginning. The beginning's just classic. Love Luke just being iconic.
Like a
Like he's
badass.
finally just not like a whiny baby anymore. Like he's finally cool. And I was finally like, okay, you can be my first crush ever. Like him when they toss the saber at him and he like grabs it and then he like does a little flippy thing. So cool. R2D2 going around carrying people's drinks. So funny.
True.
It's just
It
so good. And we talked about the beginning. We talked about Endor. I love Endor, one of my favorite planets, Endor and Naboo. But another reason is because it's finally the ending and the resolution, which meant a lot to me. Because growing up, we didn't have an ending to the new trilogy, episode 7 through 9. We only had all three prequels and all three of the original. So finally, like the prequels ending wasn't the best ending, Anakin became Darth Vader, lost his limbs, Padme's dead, Obi-Wan has to go into
damn.
hiding. Like, yes, it sets up for the original trilogy, but not the best ending. This one, it's just like such a feel-good ending. Like it perfectly ties everything like in a little bow together. Luke's character arc is finally complete. Han and Leia have finally like found their resolution. The galaxy is what is assumed to be restored back to peace, and just the ending is such a feel good ending and feels resolved. It feels all happy. I feel warm and fuzzy inside watching it. So that is the only reason why it has taken place over Empire Strikes Back.
Gabby said it's just such a feel good ending. It really is because it's just like a very happy ending.
And that's why
True.
it's one of our it is our favorite. It's not one of our favorites. It is our favorites. So, thank you so much for listening. Like we said, this is all opinion based. So, if you don't agree, guess what? That's okay.
Tough luck because this is our opinion. So You don't have to agree. You just have to be open-minded and understand where we come from.
So, you know what? Let us know what your top 5 is. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching this and you don't agree and we've disappointed you, but this is just what made us feel nice, what our nostalgia hits on, and what really speaks to us in this fandom.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you can want in the Star Wars fandom is people having that personal connection to it and having that love and that affinity for it. So, thanks for listening. We'll definitely like be interested in doing more Star Wars content soon. I know Isabella and I are big fans of obviously like the shows like Mandalorian and everything, but also the games.
Exhibit A.
So much more exciting Star Wars content to come. So much exciting content from us to come. We're gonna be doing more of these. We're gonna be doing more topics. Obviously, we are into a lot of different franchises, but don't worry, we'll come back to Star Wars again soon. And then we'll also be doing some vlog style things as well. It's not just gonna be us talking. Anyways, yes, more exciting stuff to come. So be on the lookout. Isabella, what else should happen now? What else should they think about doing?
They should like, comment, subscribe, and share too.
Do all the things she said to do, and I will see you next time.
I will see you. We will see you. God, I guess it's the Gabby show now.
All right, thanks. Bye. Bye.
Deuces. See ya next time.